Hey everybody. It is Grace Summers and um well Ladybug, you are hilarious. I'm not at home. I'm actually I decided I was gonna make a video here at my mom's. I'm taking care of her cat. She's out on vacation. I wished her a safe travel. Um it's I wanna talk about it. Part of me just kinda didn't want to, but I need to. So I know that everybody is aware of the situation going on in the world, and I mean, if you are not, if you live under a rock, there are a lot of protests going on. I mean, we are dealing with a pandemic. The coronavirus still hasn't gone away, and I know that with all these protests going on, I would not be surprised if the coronavirus cases spike, but that doesn't change the fact that people are protesting, and a lot of people are using their right for the First Amendment in the United States, the freedom the freedom to peacefully assemble. If they aren't in agreeing, if they aren't agreeing with what's going on, they have the right to protest, and so there's a lot of people protesting. But I just what happened to the to George Floyd, I know everybody talks about is talking about this because it needs to be talked about. George Floyd being just on video by an officer. It's not he lost his life to an officer, and it's not okay. It really isn't. And as protests are growing and riots are growing and the the violence and looting, it's growing. We are consistently seeing more and more um, facts of these police officers abusing their power. And now there are some officers who are just hiding their badge name or their badge number, or they don't even have their badge on them and are refusing to answer, so that if they do cause some violence, they're not going to get they're not going to get reprimanded, or they're not going to be held accountable. And I'm personally not okay with it. I am 100% on the side of the protesters. I know I'm a white person, so I can't speak for the African American community. I can't. And I'm not going to, because that is not my place. You can talk to a lot of African Americans. You can definitely look up African Americans who are talking about this and who are discussing this. This is a problem, and if you are feeling uncomfortable with those protesters and you're feeling uncomfortable with how the officers are being treated, it's good that you're feeling uncomfortable. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to. Everybody needs to. Now, personally, I don't think these protesters, I don't think there's anything going to come out of it. That is my personal belief. Nothing really changes when it comes to accountability. I want accountability to be there. I want people to be held accountable for actions that they have done. And I would love for people to be not racially biased, but that doesn't happen. I I know that the African American community deals with a lot more. Um, they'll deal with a lot more shit than people that are white. Now, me, I'm a trans white woman, or I identify as a white woman. Um, I can tell from dealing with the white privilege. I know what the white privilege is. I know it exists. And honestly, when I hear the African Americans, I'm listening. I hear them consistently, and it upsets me that this is a thing. I have already donated money to funds of African Americans in the LGBT community. I have helped GoFundMe's make their goal. I am making donations when I can. I know I don't have that much money. I try my best, and I'm 100% supportive. I speak up when racism occurs. When somebody's talking about racism, I definitely talk about it, and I want to. I want to be able to discuss it because racism is here, it exists. And I know what being stereotyped is like. I know what it's like. I'm I know the feeling of being afraid to leave the house. It happens. I know that before being trans, before coming out, being identified as a cisgender male, white male, I could have gotten in so much more trouble just because if I was black. I could have easily been more ridiculed, more beat up. I could have gotten arrested so many times, let alone getting shot by cops because of how they perceive the African American community. And it really isn't it's not okay. And I know going from a cisgender white man to a trans woman, I know what it's like getting discriminated, getting targeted, and it's not like sometimes I can't prove it, but I can definitely tell it's there. I can't just sit there and point the finger at them. I can see that they look at me in disgust, or they look at me like I'm doing something wrong just for being outside. I know what that's like. I I I will never know the extent of the African American community. I can't stress that enough. The African American community has dealt with so much, and I just want what they want, equal rights. I don't want them to be targeted by the police. I don't want them being targeted by white supremacists. I don't want them being targeted by anybody. I want them to be able to go outside and feel confident about leaving home. But the majority of them can't. And I know that. I know what it's like to get. And I've gotten followed by somebody in a car. They were following my car at like 4 in the morning. And I mean, I know what that, like, I've literally had that happen. I have people consistently looking at me like I should be dead. Like they want to kill me. I've had people give me those stares because I'm trans. I know what that's like. And I know that my grandma's told me that when I came out to her, she told me to be prepared for any backlash because you'll get it. You'll definitely receive a lot of backlash. And I said that I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm happier for who I am. There can't be no amount of transphobia that I can't like endure than the hatred that I've given myself in the mirror countless times. I can't I don't know if we're gonna get any good outcomes out of all the protesters. I'm still wanting people to continue protesting. Protesting shouldn't stop. It shouldn't stop. And people who don't feel comfortable should continue to not feel comfortable because this is an issue that needs to be discussed. It's easy for people to assume. It's easy for people to assume, and when people assume and that can cause harm, then that's where we need to address the issue. And this has happened during the Trump administration. It has happened during the Obama administration. It's happened during the Bush administration, during the Clinton administration. Black Lives Matter has happened all the time. And people who say all lives matter, I agree with you. All lives do matter, but I can go out and know that the majority of the cisgender officers aren't going to go and gun me down because I'm not black. That is white privilege. I know what that's like. And that's why Black Lives Matter. That's why people keep consistently saying Black Lives Matter, because it does. Black lives matter. And it shouldn't have to be discussion. It's 2020. We shouldn't have to have racism as a discussion, but we do. And we need to continue discussing it. I'm going to consistently stand up for what I believe in, no matter the case. And I'm 100% behind you guys and gals, non-binary, it doesn't matter. I'm 100% behind you when you're protesting. I choose not to protest because I'm concerned for my safety, that not only will I lose my job for protesting, but I may also possibly go to jail and get sent into a male jail cell or with all the other cisgender males, because that's what's happening to trans women. They are getting sent in to cisgender male cells, and that is something that I don't want. I don't want to be thrown in there. I'm almost 2 years into my hormones. I definitely show it, and they could still send me there. And that concerns me. It concerns me that I could be out there protesting and something could happen to me with an officer. I don't want that to happen. And the likely chance that all of this will happen it's slim. But I know what it's like leaving the house, and I know what it's like being afraid to leave the house. I know. I can list off probably like a third of the coworkers in my department who give me looks like I'm doing something wrong. And that's an everyday thing. I have people who have consistently asked me, "Oh, are you going to get the surgery? Are you going to go and get the surgery?" And I don't want to talk about it. I give them an answer just to get them to shut up, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't need to discuss what I'm going to do with my body to a coworker in the healthcare field. And I know that they're not intending to do it. I know it's not intentional, but it happens. And they don't think there's something wrong, but there is. That's a problem. And I know the trans community has a problem in itself, and that also needs to be addressed. I know it. But the black community, Black Lives Matter, they do. And if you don't agree with that, and you're saying all lives matter, you're missing the point. All lives matter, yes. I'm not saying your life doesn't matter. But the African American community, it does matter. Cops are more aggressive towards them. It's a given. They're more likely to shoot. And they're more likely to arrest you just because you have a different color of skin. And it's pretty common that that's a thing. I can't stress it enough. And I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what else. I'm white. I can't address anything else involving it. I can address the disparities and the issues that I deal with. I can address the issues I have. I can address the problem in the trans community that I have experienced. I can address the concept of white privilege because I have experienced white privilege. I know what white privilege is. And I'm poor. I'm poor. I don't have all the money in the world. I'm just barely financially comfortable. If something goes wrong, that doesn't change the fact that I know white privilege exists. Just because I'm not financially sound, just because I get scolded for doing something wrong at a store, or if I'm getting yelled at because I'm not wearing a mask, or yada yada yada. White gender or white people, especially cisgender, are recording themselves at stores, and it's upsetting. It's silly. They're upset. I get it. But that is the concept of white privilege. The black people have to worry about getting killed. White people worry about not being able to buy as much meat as they want at a Costco, or being able to hoard toilet paper. I know that there are people who talk about their issues, and there are issues. The poverty system is a big issue. Student loan debt is a big issue. Healthcare is a big issue. And I would be happy to talk about it. I want to talk about it. But it's easier for an African American to get discriminated against in every single one of those categories. In healthcare, in the student loans. They could get higher interest rates than somebody who's white. It's the same thing with the bank. And they can swindle their way. It shouldn't be a thing, but it is. And that's why it needs to be talked about. I don't normally upload that much, and I know I upload late into current events because I try to keep my composure. My emotions really have gotten to me last week. I had a very, very thin my patience was very thin, and I wasn't in the greatest mood last week. I would have made a video last week. I wanted to, but I chose not to. And now I'm making this video because I feel like if I don't talk about it, I feel like I'm part of the problem. And that's not okay. So, I know a lot of times that things are down. And I'm 100% supportive. I saw protesters, and I slowed down, and I drove around them. I'm not gonna get in their way. They are protesting. They have the right to protest. Even though they're blocking part of the street, I don't care. They have the right to protest. They have a right to do it. And I know there's a curfew in that's okay. But I'm not okay with police tear gassing people before the curfew. I'm not okay with police tear gassing people even after the curfew. Getting people out of the streets at night, I understand that. But you shouldn't be tear gassing people, and that they shouldn't be using the types of chemicals unless if somebody's violent. But these peaceful protesters are getting beat up. They're getting pepper sprayed. I mean, I've seen hundreds of videos of this stuff within the last 2 weeks of police officers abusing their ability, abusing their power. It's not okay. And I hope you feel the same. I mean, I know that it's a very tough subject. It's very difficult to talk about, but we need to address it. Being uncomfortable is okay. We need to get out of our boundary. We need to get out of our comfort zone. I did it coming out. It was the biggest comfort zone out of boundary that I've ever done. And this is not any different. It's people are uncomfortable. We need to talk about it. So I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope everything's okay. I hope you're safe and stay strong. We need to keep talking about this.